All right, my friends. JT DeBull calling in tonight. I'm really pumped and psyched, and I'm a little bit fired up. I'm in a good way, of course. I'm going to be sharing with you guys something very powerful tonight. Something that, frankly, I wrote this webinar for you. All right, for a lot of folks that have reached out to me. I've asked a lot of questions of you guys. You've been very, very accommodating. A lot of folks that follow me on the social webs. For those of you that are on my list, for those of you that have purchased my products or been part of my coaching programs or been to my events or done anything that I've done in the past, you've been with me for a very long time. And I appreciate that. I want to let you know that I'm hearing you. I hear you loud and clear. One thing that I get quite a bit is the challenges that entrepreneurs have revolve around what I'm going to be talking about tonight. Now, I specifically and purposely called this the secret weapon for business success, and I'll tell you why. But before I get into the why behind the secret weapon, I want to ask you a quick question. We're going to do a little bit of an exercise, do something a little bit different than I've done in the past. I want to start off in sort of a workshop format. I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to write things down. Now, realize this doesn't have to be anything formal. You can type this in the chat box if you want, but I want you to have this with you more importantly than just to give it to me exclusively. All right. I want to see the answers as well, but obviously I want you to write this down. What is the biggest challenge you're having right now in your business? Just one thing, or maybe it's two or three things, but the biggest challenge, not the thing that bothers you, from time to time. I'm talking about the thing that bothers you all the time. Write that down. I'm just going to give you a second here. I want you to think about that. Okay. Now, how long have you been challenged by that? How long has that one particular thing been a challenge for you? Write that down. Maybe it's been for a few weeks, maybe it's been for a few months, maybe it's been for a few years. It could be something that's challenged you for most of your life, and that's fine too. How long has it been a challenge for you? Now, my guess is that a lot of you, because you're entrepreneurs, and I know my peeps pretty well. For those brick and mortar folks that are trying to build their online presence, you're saying, I wish I had more leads or I wish I had more profits. For those of you that are already online, you're doing things online, affiliate marketing, internet marketing, whatever it looks like, you're saying traffic, customers. But I want you to know something, all right? These are just the symptoms. It's like trying to put a Band-Aid on something that's the bigger problem. The real solution is not about the mechanics, okay? The real solution is not about the mechanics. Here's the deeper question that I want you to really answer for yourself right now. Where else is this challenge showing up for you in your life? That's why I said before, just a second ago, I went back and I said, it's all about mechanics, right? This is what I mean. You say to yourself, JT, what do you mean if it keeps coming up in my life? That doesn't make any sense. It does make sense. I want you to really think about this, guys. I'm challenging you here in these first few minutes of what's going to be probably one of the most powerful webinars you're going to sit in quite some time. All right. What is the challenge? How is it showing up in the other areas of your life? For instance, if you wrote something down like, hey, I wish I had more sales in my business. Well, where else is that symptomatically showing up in your life, right? Where else is it showing up? Where maybe you're having a difficult time getting people to buy into what you're all about. Maybe your family doesn't believe in you. Maybe, you and your spouse can't agree on where to go for dinner, for crying out loud. It's hard to make that sale, to sell that person on going out for steak and lobster when they want to go out for, Italian food. I don't know. My point is this. You're a smart enough person. You're aware enough to notice trends in your life and in your business. And I will tell you, in all the years I've been coaching people, in all the years that I've coached people, back in the day when I was coaching people in the U.S. military, working them through some really, really tough challenges. I mean, some amazingly tough challenges, things that even I haven't seen as an entrepreneur. And then, of course, over the last 9 years as an entrepreneur, most of which was done professionally coaching people. I will tell you this, And having gone through professional coaching myself, asking the deeper question, where are these cycles coming up for you? The reason this is extremely important is because of this next question. How confident are you that you have a clear and actionable solution to get the biggest challenges in your business and life conquered? How confident are you that you have a clear and actionable solution? All right. Not ideas, not a bunch of stuff that you've put on a whiteboard and said, well, I hope this works, but I'm talking about an actionable plan. How confident are you? Are you A, extremely confident? Are you B, kind of so, like not so confident, but I've got some? Or C, you don't even know where to start. You're feeling overwhelmed with this. I want you to write that answer down as well. Because here's my promise. By the end of this webinar, I will show you not only how you can illuminate those blind spots, because that's all they are. I'm going to show you how to illuminate them and how to eliminate them from your business and life. It's not easy. It's probably going to take some time. But that's my promise on this webinar. That's why this webinar is so powerful and why I believe so much in it. And the fact that there are dozens of you that have showed up early before I even got online. And now even I can see now the numbers are starting to climb. For those of you who made that commitment to be here tonight, this is going to make a huge impact in your business and in your life. My humble promise to you. Now, we're going to dive into this, but I wanted to let you know that I call this the secret weapon because back in 2010, I was in such a tough spot in my business that I literally thought about quitting. At that point, we'd been in business for 3 years, my wife and I. And we had started it about 18 months before I left the US Navy full time. So I had about 18 months, almost, it's probably closer to 20 months, not quite 2 years, where I was building the thing actively while I was still in the military. So I was doing the 70-hour work week, going to work, working for Uncle Sam, working for the man, right? And then I was moonlighting my time off of actually building my enterprise and my business. And so for a long time, I sort of had that safety net, right? We had the steady income, but man, it was frustrating, so frustrating because I didn't have the time. And then I started working with, other entrepreneurs, starting networking, starting to kind of combine ideas and masterminding and do all these things. And it started to help me a little bit. Then I made the bold jump in September of 2008. September 2008, I'll never forget, September 30th to be exact. Last day of September was my last day in the military. And to this day, I haven't had a job since. I've been totally self-employed, been an entrepreneur, owned my own business, whatever you want to call it. Because as you know, there's certain, if you follow Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, there's those four boxes, right? Well, I was definitely self-employed for a very long time, working my tail off, trying to keep the lights on, trying to keep food on the table, and so on and so forth. And literally, it took about 18 months before we really crashed. It took 9 months to totally crash, but it took 18 months before it was so bad that I had to reach out and finally get some help. Now, there's a reason I'm sharing this with you tonight. As I kind of alluded to at the beginning, I asked a simple question back in January. It was late December, early January, late December of last year, obviously January of this year. I said, listen, what's holding you back in your business? Very similar question to the one I asked you just a few minutes ago. I'm going to show you some exact responses. I held the names back because I don't want to make anybody feel like they're being put under a spotlight. But these are basically a microcosm of the bigger thing. All right. These are the kinds of responses I literally got verbatim. The responses I got, and this is just a few of them. We could be here all night if I showed you every single one of them. Was how do you go about choosing a mentor? So far, I've had 3 experiences with people who were, to say the least, flaky and would suddenly change tack regardless of my business strategy. You got to be kidding me. Your business strategy is everything that's what's going to keep you on track in your business. All right. It's okay to change the business strategy, but you change it. All right. Or you get guidance from the mentor, not the mentor changing it on you. Very, very challenging thing. And I could just feel the frustration seeping out of their words. Here's another one. What would you do if you have been assigned a mentor who doesn't want to help you? Now, this person bought into a coaching program, paid good money to an organization to send them a coach. And this person was was assigned to them as a coach, and that person wouldn't even show up for their coaching sessions. And I mean, this quote unquote coach is not even showing up to fulfill their responsibility. What would I do? I'd fire their ass is what I would do, right? I'd be out of there so fast because that's not true coaching. But I digress. Person reached out to me and said, a mentor would be great, but where do I find one? Well, guess what? That's a great question because there's a ton of them out there and you got to know what to look for. Also, what do you do if you don't have any support systems? This right here, this line, support systems, jumped out at me at least a half a dozen times in one day. It came up so often. And so, if I'm being completely transparent with you all, this does not surprise me, okay? Because what was interesting is when I first got started in coaching, business coaching that is, I didn't understand like what I was doing. I didn't know it was called business coaching. It wasn't like I woke up one day and said, hey, I used to fly airplanes in the Navy. A natural transition would be coaching people, even though I was doing it on a daily basis when I was still in the Navy flying airplanes. I wasn't coaching on how to fly airplanes. I was coaching on life. Right? I was coaching on career decisions. I was coaching on how to get through really tough stuff like the loss of a child, the loss of a loved one. When my buddies would deploy overseas and find out suddenly that their spouse was killed in a car accident or something horrible like that, I was the turn-to guy. I was the go-to guy. So it doesn't surprise me when people have major challenges and they turn to somebody and that person isn't there for them. It happens. It's sad, but here's the simple reality. Going back to my military roots, we had something that was profoundly powerful to all of us. We took this very seriously. It was this saying, I got your 6. What that stood for is I've got your 6 o'clock. And so aviators use kind of a clock position to describe where targets and threats and things are in the air. And so you can think of 12 o'clock as being directly in front of you. Not the time on the clock, doesn't matter what time of day, and it certainly doesn't even matter what the cardinal direction is, north, south, east, or west. If somebody's directly in front of you, they're at your 12 o'clock. If they're directly to your right, they're at your 3 o'clock. If they're at your left, that's your 9 o'clock. But if they're directly behind you, they're on your 6 o'clock, your 6 for short. Now, what's key and essential about this? Why is this picture so very, very powerful and important to me personally? And why does it matter to you? Because your 6 o'clock is the one place you can't see right now. If you're focused on forward progress in your business and life, you're looking at the 12 o'clock position. You're not looking behind you. And to this day, I've yet to meet one person that has eyes in the back of their head. No matter how fast you turn your head, you can't see the back of your own head, right? Doesn't matter how fast you can spin around. You've got to have somebody that has your 6. In aviation, it was always important to have that extra airplane that was behind you to make sure you didn't catch on fire, to make sure you weren't getting shot down, to make sure there wasn't somebody creeping up behind you, right? That's why it's extremely important. In business, it's even more important because let's face it, business can be challenging at times, right? It could be a hard thing. If you don't have somebody watching your 6, it can be a rough go. And here's the truth. The fact is, way too many entrepreneurs do not have adequate coaching. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. I'm going to point into 3 points of failure here in just a second, but I want to be clear. It's either due to a misrepresentation, meaning the person isn't really a coach. You thought they were, but they never showed up and they said, I never want to be a coach in the first place. So there was that misunderstanding. Or a lack of alignment. A lack of alignment. This happens quite a bit, where all of a sudden somebody goes, hey, I can coach you. And you say, okay. And then they say, well, what's your problem? What's your biggest challenge in life or in business? And you say, it's this. And they say, oh, cool. Well, I can do that. I know somebody who can do this. I can do that. And they become a jack of all trades, right? They become like the Swiss Army knife for your biggest challenges. But in reality, they're not really aligned with who you are. They're not really aligned with your vision. They're not really aligned with what's going on in your business. Here's the 3 main points of failure. You can write these down. The so-and-so, the quote-unquote coach has no idea how to be a coach in the first place. Now, they call themselves a coach, and it's kind of funny because when we first got started back in business back in 2007, late 2006, early 2007, the term coach and the term entrepreneur were maybe not so much coach, but entrepreneur was an ugly thing, right? You were thought of as like a starving artist. is that garage band musician with big dreams who's never going to make it, blah, 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 right? It wasn't cool like it is now. Now everybody calls themselves an entrepreneur, even if they're not in business, they just sort of think they are, right? Entrepreneurship was really kind of weird back then. Even in the last 5 years, it's taken off and become like this hip kind of cool thing to call yourself an entrepreneur. But coaching has always been really weird. The coaching practice in and of itself didn't really get professionalized until maybe the last 10 years or 15 years at most, right? And I'll tell you, there's kind of a guy here I'll introduce you to in a moment that was a pioneer in coaching. But what I'm talking about here is that the term coach is thrown around really loosely and it's abused, frankly. A lot of times people say, hey, I'm going to coach you, but they have no concept of how to do it. They don't even have the first clue how to do that. The second one is the entrepreneur who sought the coach out in the first place lacks the true desire to shift, the true desire to actually change. And listen, this is not a judgment thing, guys. This is difficult. You have to really, you have to be courageous enough to say, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to stop making excuses, take the shackles of all these things, this self-blame, this self-doubt, put it aside, and finally start kicking ass in my life. It's going to be scary. It's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going down a path I've never gone down before, right? So you have to have that true desire to shift. If that doesn't happen, that's one of those other 3 points of failure. And then the third one is that there is no end game in place. And what I mean by that is the coach and the student or the entrepreneur that's being coached don't come together and create a plan. They're just sort of like, hey, we'll just show up every single week or every single month or every single 2 weeks, and we'll just hang out on the phone or whatever we do. There's no end game in place. This is very, very dangerous. And I'll tell you another place where it seems like there's an end game in place when truly there isn't. The end game is something that's being set. You're getting ready to drive off a cliff. Think of it that way. So the way I like to think of it is it's kind of like day old sushi. If you're a sushi fanatic like me, you love sushi, you know that there is nothing in the world that beats fresh sushi. Last week, I was in Seattle on vacation with my family. Seattle is known for its seafood. It's probably one of the best places in the United States, if not the entire world, for seafood. All right, and we went down to the fish market there in the public square, the Pioneer Square, and the fishmongers are throwing fish. It was really cool. Well, if you buy fish that's that fresh, you can taste it. And if you go to a high-end sushi place, you can taste the sushi, the quality of the fish and the quality of the master or the craftsmanship that the sushi chef put into it. My brother Robbie, who's about 12 years my junior, he used to be called a sushi ninja, but he's a certified sushi chef. And he was talking to me about how intensely, the qualifications are to be a really good sushi chef. Well, that's great. Now you go off and go to a grocery store and they're selling you day old sushi. There's a danger to day old sushi. Anybody here ever eaten day old sushi? Number one, it tastes horrible. The rice, if you buy a roll or if you buy sashimi and it's sitting on top of it, is really tough and chewy. It almost takes away from the entire experience. The flavor of the fish seems to have sort of dissipated, and in really bad cases, you can get sick from it, right? Day old sushi is the worst idea in the world, but yet people do it. Why? Because it's marked down, because it's on sale, right? So here's the thing. I want you to know that there is no such thing as free coaching. You're going to hear this quite a bit from time to time. Free coaching is really not coaching at all, okay? It's just sort of random advice that somebody threw down on a PDF or put into some sort of a video program or whatever and said, hey, here's my free coaching program, check it out. Now, that doesn't mean that person is trying to do you harm. They're not trying to sell you day old sushi and make you sick. That's not the point. But I want you to at least be educated enough so that when you're out there trying to find a coach or find a mentor, the challenges that you guys reached out to me for, you don't have those disappointments and the pain of those people that wrote those first few slides that I showed you there. Especially for that challenge that I had you write down. If any of you scored a B or a C when I asked you how clear you are about having a solution or a plan to move forward, if you wrote B or C, you really need to be paying attention to this. There is a penalty in life and in business for buying discounted advice. First of all, there's a lack of consistency typically. If you don't find an expert, somebody who has worked their tail off tirelessly, day in and day out, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day nearly, creating their message and creating their methodology about how they deliver that coaching, you're going to find inconsistencies with that. And as a business owner, that's going to be very, very costly and expensive to you. Because in one session, they're telling you you should do this, you should do that. And then all of a sudden you implement and it doesn't start working out. Things start falling apart. That coach has to be consistent enough in their methodology to get you back on track, or to say, hey, this is how we adjust this plan that we had, this strategy, to be able to think through the contingencies and apply it. The other penalty that you pay is a lot of times these people, if they're giving you discounted advice, they really don't have the experience. Now, sometimes, there's all kinds of reasons why somebody may be offering you very low or no cost coaching. Maybe they're just doing it to be charitable. I'm not here to judge those people, but what I'm telling you is to be very, very aware. I want your head on a swivel here, guys. All right. Be very, very aware of this kind of stuff, that when you start seeing this, sort of discounted advice, just like day old sushi, you got to ask yourself, what's wrong with this? Something doesn't quite smell right. A lot of times it has to do with experience. Sometimes it means they're not really adding any value to your life. They're not really bringing you anything that's actionable and usable in your business. Now, the real danger of seeking free or discounted services goes even deeper than that. This is kind of the psychological side. Remember a moment ago when I said, hey, a lot of these challenges are sort of mechanical or mechanics. I want to talk about the psychological side. So here's a little bit of coaching behind why this isn't working. When you start seeking out free or discounted services all the time, or if you know people that do this, or if you're giving out a lot of free or discounted services in your business, what happens is it starts to infiltrate into your own belief system. So let's say the person is out there and they're constantly looking for free stuff, constantly. Well, all of a sudden in their mind, they start to think that's how the world operates, or that's how the business world operates. And so they start to decrease their belief in their own services. What happens then, and I can't even tell you how many times I've coached people through this, is I'll ask them, what is it you do? What is the service you provide? And they'll go into this great deal of explanation about what it is they do. Then I'll ask the question, why do you do it? And that's typically where we get the deer in the headlights look. Well, I don't know why, because it's fun and because I can make good money and because I like to make people feel better. Fantastic, but that's not good enough. And we'll start digging really deep, going deep, 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 deep. And just about the time they start to have their breakthrough, I'll say, now, what is it that the other person gets, your client, the person that's purchased this product from you or this service? What is it that is so important about why they do that? Why they purchase from you? What happens to them as a result of working with you? That's typically where the dam breaks. That's typically where the secret weapon of coaching breaks through and shatters the barriers that was holding them back. A lot of times you'll get people that get real emotional. Sometimes they get so excited they can't stop. They'll be like, dude, I finally figured it out. You finally unchained me from what was holding me back. I now understand it. These people need me. And they start getting very excited about why they're in business, because they get a sense of what's really in it for the other person. And that's exciting to see somebody get lit up like that. And that is the time when they realize they're undercharging for their services. They realize they've been charging $350 or $500 for something they should be charging $1,500 to $2,000 for. Now, can you imagine in one day realizing you should put a zero behind what you're offering, or maybe just 3 or 4xing it, meaning charging 3 or 4 times more? Would that be a huge revelation in your business right now? That's the kind of stuff you have to be very careful of. And it happens when we program our brains and put a filter on where we say, well, let me just start off by looking for free or discounted services. Listen, you get what you pay for. The other thing is it creates a major problem around reciprocity. The human condition is so interesting. If you study enough about human psychology and you go deep into things like reciprocity and gratitude and giving and contribution and all these different things, what happens is if we give people enough free stuff, after a while they start to feel imbalanced. If we start going after free stuff all the time, we feel imbalanced. We feel like we're getting away with something, like we owe something back. And there's some truth to that. It's there for a reason. Your brain, your human spirit, your character, your integrity knows better. Now, it's great to get free stuff. It's awesome to give free stuff. I'll give you an example of that here in just a second. The important thing is we start thinking, well, I've gotten so much stuff for free, I should give, give, give. And what happens? You start bleeding your business dry because you're giving, 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 giving. You're giving content, you're giving value, you're giving all this stuff all day long, but you're not getting anything back in return. You're not keeping the lights on. You can't afford to stay in business. One of the big reasons why businesses fail at a high rate is because the business owner, the entrepreneur, is not charging enough. They're not asking for the sale. It's a very scary thing. But here's the other part that you got to be very careful about. If you give away too much free stuff, or if you give away stuff that's not priced accordingly, you start attracting those tire kickers, and what I personally call, and I teach this to my clients, is what I call the freebies. All right? Now, freebies are little creatures that fly around your business all the time. They swarm. They get in your face. They land in your food. They do all kinds of things you don't like them to do. Freebies are people who never buy, but more importantly, they never move forward. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you right now on this call would love to have a swarm of people in your business who never move forward, whose lives never change? They work with you, but they never change. Does that sound like a successful business to you? Do you want to be known for that? Do you want to be known as the person that has 5,000 customers that never have a breakthrough or never move forward in their business or life? Not me. No, thank you. Instead, I'd rather have a small group of people who will chew a hole through the wall for success because they believe in themselves, they recognize my value, they trust me, and they know that I will not quit on them. I will not quit. Because here's the thing, freebies are the type of people that go out there, they're too busy buzzing around from one thing to the next to even be focused enough, and they certainly won't invest in themselves. That's the kind of person they are. You do not want to work with freebies. Freebies are obnoxious. They're nice people on the surface, right? As human beings, it's not that they're bad people, but as clients, customers, these are not the kinds of people you want. And this is the kind of person that you will attract if you are a freebies. So don't be a freebie. Now, here's success principle 1048. I'm just kidding. But it's one of those many, many success principles I truly believe in. There is 10 times more value in investing once wisely in something that you can really wrap your head around and use than to go out there and grab 100 free training courses. Everybody's got a free download. Everybody's got a free webinar series. Everybody's got a free, video series. Hell, I've done those things. But the whole point is to move them into something that will actually create and affect change in their business and lives. But if all they do is go grab those courses and downloads and all the opt-in bait, do they ever really do anything with it? Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. But chances are they probably don't. So you have to kind of lead by example in this case. It's far better to invest a small amount of money in something great, or even a considerable amount of money in something great, than to go out there and try to piecemeal that same output or that same, sort of breakthrough, if you will, from a bunch of free training courses and try to figure out this thing and that thing. You waste a whole lot of time trying to connect the dots to create what would have been the ultimate outcome. So I want you to remember this. Free typically equals entry level, okay? Both in expectation and performance. You give something away for free, people love you. They appreciate you. But they also don't necessarily expect that to change their lives, okay? Just know that. Now, there is a couple of different, there's a couple of case studies where this is not true, where you give something away for free and it changes people's lives and they move forward and it's awesome. I'm just saying that typically speaking, free represents entry level. So be careful with that kind of stuff. I want to show you a slide from Harvard Business Review, and I want us to work with this just a little bit, especially for those of you who are serious business owners, all right? We're going to I'm going to show you a couple things here. Whether you are a coach or whether you're seeking out coaching, there's a couple of really important things. First and foremost, look over here, kind of right here at this top part, okay? If you see this, you'll see right here, 48% of those people that seek out coaching do it because they want to develop a higher potential or facilitate a transition. Now, what does that mean? A transition means that maybe they want to have more income. They want to make more money in their business. Maybe they want to make more sales. Maybe they want to expand their reach. They want to make their brand bigger and more consumable around the world, for instance. That's a transition. Maybe they're transitioning from a job into owning their own business. The 28% is they just need a coach to act as a sounding board. They're pretty smart. They're focused. These are the types of people that, generally speaking, have a vision for their business. They have a decent amount of focus, and they have a decent amount of drive. They don't need to be motivated. What they need is a sounding board. Now, I will tell you this. This part right here, this 26%, that comprises most of my clients. The other, I would say most of them, or the other, I would say 40% are looking to address a derailing behavior. Self-limiting belief, lack of confidence, procrastination, overwhelm, something to that degree. But I thought this was a very interesting sort of graphic, because really what you're looking at here is the top 3 reasons why coaches get hired in the first place. Now, if you're a coach, and I know there's probably some coaches on this call right now, you're probably nodding your head right now saying, yep, that makes sense. But what's most important about this, and again, this came from Harvard Business Review. This was done by about 2,400, I think it was like 2,400 different coaches that they profiled, and they took the top 10 coaches in the world and they really used them for a lot of the case studies on what they do in their own businesses. This is what you're going to find. Now, I thought this was interesting too. There's a misconception. Just a moment ago, I was talking about day-old sushi. I kind of want to show you something that drives home this point. There's a lot of coaching out there that's offered at like $200 an hour. Well, it's not bad. It could be good. I mean, I started off, I remember I was coaching people for $150 a month. I remember back in the day. Well, there are coaches out there, and this is kind of an interesting stat, that'll go as high as $3,500 an hour, and I've actually seen as high as $10,000 an hour for really awesome executive level coaching. Now, those are the people that are coaching Fortune 500 companies, or maybe even Fortune 50 companies, the CEOs, the CFOs, the top level people, the C-suite individuals, and that corporation is paying anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a month to a coach to coach those people. Pretty remarkable. The median is right around 500, and that's an hour, right? So you'll find people that charge, anywhere between, I'd say between, I don't know, 600 to 1,000 or $1,500 an hour is a pretty solid coach. But I share this with you because there's a huge thing that you need to be aware of. Not just how much the coach costs, but what they're really doing for you. What the coach really should be doing. For those of you who are challenged by coaching, ask yourself this question. Are they addressing this? This is very, very key, because here's the deal. 97% of people that go into coaching, they went into it asking if they could, not wanting personal issues, right? 97% of them said, I don't need a personal issue. I'm here to kick ass in my business. But what's crazy, if you look at this, is that 76%, after they've gone through coaching, say, yeah, that's exactly what we did. We worked on personal issues. So here's my question to you. If you've had coaching in the past and that person didn't seem like they were in alignment with your vision, did it happen when you said, man, I'm really stressed out, personal issue, or man, I've got all this stuff on my plate and I don't know how to compartmentalize in my business, personal issue? Or I've got all this fear. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I can't talk to my spouse. I can't talk to the people in my life because they all think I'm crazy anyway. That's a personal issue. We're not talking about strategy here, guys. Most of the time, when people start up a coaching program, they're looking for strategy, and that's this top line. They're saying, hey, I want to learn how to take my income to this level, or I want to learn how to execute my plan, or I want to learn how to create my strategy, right? But all of a sudden, after a few months of coaching, and you can see down here, it talks about that typical coaching goes anywhere from 7 to 12 months long. Once they get about halfway through that process, they realize we are talking about a whole lot of personal issues here. I want you to know it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. In fact, there's some honor in addressing your personal issues. As long as you don't see it as, drama sessions and bitching and moaning sessions and things like that. It's very, very key, though. I thought this was a very compelling sort of chart when I first saw it, and it was something that was pertinent. I wanted to share with you guys because you need to know this to be savvy purchasers of coaching. But more importantly, if you go into coaching or if you're seeking, people are seeking you out as a coach, that's what you're going to expect to be doing in the work with them. Now, I know what you might be saying because there's a lot of quote gurus out there that say you should give away your best stuff. Give your best stuff away. Well, guess what? I do this to a degree. I do it with my book, Flight Plan to Success. A lot of you are here because you, many, many months ago, took advantage of my offer. When you go to flywithjt.com, you can download the entire copy of my book, Flight Plan to Success. Now, right now, you can go do that. And I also sell it on Amazon. In fact, I sell it on my website, and you can get a hard copy of it signed by me. And why the heck would I do that? Doesn't that seem incongruous? Why would I sell it over here and then give it away for free? It makes no sense, does it? Well, here's the challenge with this. When you give free stuff away, and you say you give your best stuff away, you're getting bits and pieces of the overall thing. You can think of it a little bit like this. If you've ever gone to one of those amazing buffets in Vegas, you'll see these things. So think of it like this, as your business is this amazing buffet that's got beautiful food from all around the world. Doesn't matter whether you're a vegan, doesn't matter whether you're a carnivore, there's something for everybody, right? But if the buffet owner says, listen, the best thing we have, the thing we're known for, is our crab legs, and you can have them for free. That's just to get you in the door to get the rest of the buffet. Now, there's no problem with that, okay? I want you to know there's no problem with that, but just understand this. If you go into that restaurant and you say, cool, I don't want the rest of the buffet, I just want to eat all the crab legs, pretty soon you're going to feel pretty awful, yeah? Because you're going to eat a ton of crab legs, but you're not getting the full buffet. You're not getting the fruits and the vegetables. You're not getting all the stuff that came from around the world. And more importantly, it's not a matter of not feeling great from eating nothing but crab legs. You're missing out on the whole experience. So it's key and essential to understand that differentiation. It's okay to give away your best stuff. Don't feel like you're missing out, as long as the stuff that you have on top of it can back up the good stuff. That book, Flight Plan to Success, is extraordinary. It's an award-winning book, and it's based on my life experiences as well as my experiences as a coach and as an entrepreneur. I've gotten so many amazing testimonials and feedback from people on that book. I know that it's great. But as great as it is, it's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's why I'm proud to both give it away and sell it for those people that want to buy it. Now, I want to talk to you about 3 types of coaches. There's 3 types. There's, of course, the drill instructor, there's the cheerleader, and there's the Lombardi. Let's talk about each one of them. You're going to find these people, and each one of these has different skill sets, depending on what you need, depending on your personality type, depending on how you need to shift and change and grow in your business. The first one's the drill instructor. This person has 0 tolerance for BS and will not tolerate whining. They're very hardcore and to the edge. They have very little empathy. If you come to them and say, well, I had a really hard day, my spouse and I got into a fight, and I didn't do that homework that you assigned me, so I don't know, can we just talk about it? They're not going to care. They don't want to hear about your problems. That's what a drill instructor's like. They're going to push you way past your limits. If you're somebody who has hit sort of a glass ceiling, you're making decent money, but you know you could make more. Your business is doing okay, it's plodding along, but you know you're capable of way, way more. Your physical fitness, your health is at a certain place where you're not in, any kind of health crisis, but you know you're capable of way more. A drill instructor type of coach is what you need. These are the types of people that typically will squeeze out your fullest potential. I mean, this is for those people that are serious. You're ready to take it to that next level. A drill instructor level or style coach is what you need. Now, on the other side of that spectrum is the cheerleader. And this is where a lot of these quotes, so-called coaches, people that call themselves coaches, typically go. They're extremely enthusiastic about your success. All right. So they're going to warm you up. You're going to go in there. You're going to feel great. They're going to encourage you and cheer you on. They're going to nurture you. Now, this is important. Nurturing is important. What I mean by nurturing is it's not just about telling you, hey, you're awesome, keep it up, man, right? That's the cheerleader side. The nurturing side says, you can do this. There's more that you can do. I do a lot of nurturing on my calls. I do podcasts every single week. I do 5 of them a week. And on those, I will do a lot of nurturing because I don't know those people personally, right? And a lot of people are just kind of like stuck. And if you come at them with the drill instructor side, sometimes they're like, whoa, and they're not ready for that. They're just not prepared for it. Whereas a cheerleader, you can take that nurturing approach. Now, it's not like you're saying, hey, guys, cool, rah, rah, rah. That's not what I do, at least. But nurturing says, you got this. I believe in you. Now let's go make this happen. That's what nurturing is. And they tend to put a positive spin on even the biggest challenge. Again, that could be a good thing, as long as it doesn't become delusional. Now, the third type is what I call the Lombardi, and I named this after, obviously, Vince Lombardi. Now, this is a person who focuses on strategy. They're going to give you the tools. They're going to give you exactly what you need to move forward. Unlike a drill instructor who's literally going to shove you up the mountain, the Lombardi type of coach is going to tell you exactly how to go. They'll tell you which foot to step first with. They're going to tell you where to put your hands. They're going to tell you how to use the ropes. They're going to teach you how to use the pick and the axe and all that stuff to grind yourself up that mountain, right? That's what a Lombardi does. They're going to talk about execution, how to play at your peak performance, how to use the tools that you have. They're going to focus on outcomes. They're going to give you those directions to get you where you want to go. These are the types of coaches that develop great game plans for success. These are the guys and gals that totally understand your vision. They do more than just nurture and rah-rah you up the hill. They don't just kick your butt like a drill instructor will, but they absolutely will help you develop the game plan to get there. They'll help develop your strengths as opposed to focusing on your weakness and telling you, hey, you need to suck it up. These are the kinds of people that will actually develop your strengths to make you better at what you do. And they tend to focus on fundamentals. So here's the question. Which one of these is the best? If you had to guess, which one of these coaching styles is the best kind of coach? Guess what the answer is? This is going to blow your mind. All three. All three on some capacity is what you really want. Because everybody's personality is a little bit different, okay? I personally respond very well to a drill instructor type of coach, but I prefer the Lombardi. I've had cheerleaders. They don't do anything for me. They waste my time. I can't even be in the same room with them. I appreciate them as people. I think they're great, fun to go out and have beers with, but they're not going to help me get where I want to go. What I'm looking for is somebody like Yoda, somebody who takes zero crap off of me, somebody who will call me on my stuff, who's a little more cerebral, who doesn't necessarily have to show me how tough they are and how loud they can yell, right? That's the kind of person. Miyagi's another great example of this. Somebody who has that wisdom to be able to mix the nurturing side, the loving and compassionate side, and have just an edge, just a slight touch of that zero tolerance type of drill instructor, but also has that Lombardi style to him, right? That has the strategy and the ability to get you through that challenge. I share this with you because I think these two individuals are great examples of a nice mix of all three of those. So the answer to the question is, it's entirely up to you which one of those coaches, but I would tell you that it's going to be a combination. You may have 30, 30, 30, 30% of each, 33% of each for those of you keeping score at home with your math. Maybe it's 60% of one person and 20% of the other two. Whatever it looks like for you, make sure that you find the right kind of coach, the right combination. Now, there's other parts of the actual coaching process that you have to pay attention to, though. Once you've found the coach, now you have to understand the coaching process. The coaching process is extremely important. And frankly, outside of those initial, when I showed you those initial challenges that people had written to me, most of the time, it's not just about the coach themselves. Because the coach, even if you pick the right person, even if you found a coach that you really truly love, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get results. You have to see it as a three-step process. So what's the difference between a lighthouse, the high beams on your car, and a light switch? And why do you need all three? Well, let's start with the lighthouse. Think about yourself being out at sea. You've been out at sea for a long time. You've weathered some storms, as is the case with a lot of entrepreneurs. You have done everything you can do, batten down the hatches and so on and so forth. And off in the foggy distance, you see a beacon of light flashing. How does that feel? That's got to give you a certain sense of comfort, right? That's what the lighthouse effect of a coach does. That coach is anchored to solid ground. Now, it's nice because now you have something to navigate to, and a great coach will do that. You want a coach who can stand tall above all the distractions, above all the barriers to your success, and shine bright enough to show you how to come to that place that they're beckoning you to. They're guiding you down that road. And this is the initial part of coaching. The first, couple of months of coaching is going to kind of be that lighthouse effect. The other thing that's interesting about a lighthouse and why it's a great analogy for this is lighthouses are typically placed at the, land's end, if you will, the point where, the land becomes the sea. In this case, the sea becomes the land, where all the sharp and heavy rocks are. So the lighthouse also tells the mariner, don't go too far, otherwise you're going to crash and destroy your ship or your boat here on the shore of this rocky shore here. And that's what a great coach does as well. They point out the potential hazards and all the things that could potentially put you in a problem with your business. Now let's talk about the high beams. The next phase of coaching looks like this. It's kind of like a set of high beams. It's somebody who's now with you, okay? Whereas before, with the lighthouse, that person is far enough down the path. They have the experience that they're ahead of you, right? They're ahead of you on the journey. They've been through it before. They know exactly what it's like to go through that storm, and they're that far ahead of you, okay? So you follow them because of their experience. You follow them because of what they can teach you. You are the student. Now this is a little bit different. This is the phase of coaching I love. And by the way, all three phases of this I do with all of my clients. I go through all three of these phases. That first phase is exciting because you're finally bringing somebody in from the tough storms that they've been through out at sea in their business and life. This phase is very cool. When you shift to this one, this is a whole lot of fun because now it's about flying formation. High beams is the person that will illuminate the path in front of you. Because if you're driving in the dark, it doesn't mean the road's not there. It just means you can't see it. But you're also not going to charge at full speed with your headlights off. You're going to turn them on. And if you turn your high beams on, now you can see even further into the future. At this phase of coaching, what a strong coach will do is illuminate the path in front of you. So you can clearly see those first few critical steps that are right directly in front of you, and then the few steps that follow after that, so that you can act with confidence and certainty moving forward on your plan to develop your dream. Just like high beams, though, they're actually an integral part of the car, right? So the high beams aren't, connected way off into the future like a lighthouse is. They're actually a piece of the car. They're bolted to the car. And so that's why I like the analogy of flying formation with my clients, because now I'm with them. Okay, we're doing it on a consistent basis. It's not just me talking theory or where you could head. It's talking about actionable steps now that are going to get you where you want to go. And then, of course, the light switch. This right here is profoundly powerful as a coach. This will become very deeply personal. It feels amazing to actually give somebody the strength, the tools and the skill set and the courage to fly on their own, to jump out of that nest, spread their wings and fly. Now, the light switch represents those tools and skill sets that a really strong coach can impart upon you so that you can work your way through those challenges in the future. You're not dependent on the coach forever. You have the skill sets to be able to go out there and do the whole wax on, wax off, like Miyagi taught young Danielson, right? He imparted to him the light switch so that when it got dark in the future of his life, he knew where to flip that switch and illuminate the room. It's what Yoda gave to young Skywalker, the ability to conquer his inner demons, the ability to have the skill sets to be able to take on Darth Vader and other villains in his path. So that at any given time, Yoda didn't have to be right by his side. Yoda could pass on to that next level, and Skywalker could go on for the rest of his journey by himself, strong, resolute as that leader that he is. And that's what a great coach does. A great coach does that with their clients. It's that third and final stage. And I will tell you, as a coach, this is very, very exciting to see somebody who graduates to that next level in their business and in their life. The ability to flip that switch and empower your way, to light your own way, always knowing that the coach never lets you go. They're always got your back. They've always got your six. But here's where the rubber truly meets the road. All of this stuff I've taught you tonight, I've armed you with the ability to go find a great coach. Because this has been such a painful process for many of you, I put a lot of time and effort into this, years and years of experience in this. You got to ask yourself the question, who can you trust? There's two people you got to be able to trust. Number one is that coach. You got to find the right person. I gave you those skill sets tonight. You can take what I taught you here and start looking for that right person. But then the second part, and this is entirely up to you, you got to learn to trust yourself. You got to learn to find that person. You got to learn to reach out to them. You got to learn to say, I trust myself enough to trust you, to go out there and make this happen. One thing that's interesting is I've had the privilege of coaching a lot of people around the world. This is just like I just in a quick second wanted to throw some pictures of real people that I have actually worked with or am currently working with. I didn't have time to go get all of them, but certainly here's quite a few of them. Some of my corporate clients. And I'll tell you this, one thing that's really, really important about this is that when I coach somebody one-to-one, you get to know them on a personal level. You get to know about their families. You get to know about their past. They tell you things that they've never told anybody else because of the trust. And it's something that I have prided myself on and taken a lot of, quite frankly, it's a very fulfilling career. Initially, I resisted even doing this anymore. I was going to shut down coaching this year. My focus is now doing some really amazing live events, some immersive retreats around the world where we take people and push them way outside of their comfort zones. You guys have heard me talk about San Diego and things like that, the event we're doing. But initially I thought, I'm not going to do coaching anymore. I'm going to just coach the clients I have, and that's the end of, I'll just coach them, but I'm not going to seek out any coaching. I'm certainly not going to open it. But then I realized it's time to bring the hammer. Because you guys have reached out, because there's been such a demand for it, it was up to me. It was my responsibility and my calling. I slept on it. I meditated on it. I talked to my wife about it. I talked to my team, talked to some colleagues, and they said, dude, you got to bring the hammer. So that's what I'm bringing. High Altitude Mentorship Roundtable, also known as Hammer. It just fits right. Doesn't that feel good? Feels good to me. Taking high altitude entrepreneurs to the next level, that next altitude in their business and life. I've not done this in years. Frankly, I'm really excited about this. And my heart pounding out of my chest right now. This is going to be cool. The whole focus behind Hammer Coaching is for better focus, clarity, and mental toughness. Self-confidence, strategy, and structure. That's what we're here for. Accountability and support. We're going to dig deep on limiting beliefs. We're going to give you those empowering behaviors to overcome those limiting beliefs. We're going to build that confidence. We're going to build the leadership that's naturally inside each and every single one of you. I'm going to teach you how to follow through, because I know you've got goals out there that have fallen flat, not because you're bad people, not because you don't know what you're doing. It's just because that's the way life is. Statistically speaking, 95% of not just businesses fail, but goal setting fails. I don't teach goal setting. I teach mission accomplishment. I'm going to teach you how to follow through and accomplish your mission. With Hammer Coaching, you're going to experience continuity and consistency, perhaps for the first time. Somebody who's actually there for you, who's committed to you. We're talking about peak performance here, but most importantly, that bottom line, accessibility and responsiveness. Somebody who's there for you and is going to listen to you and answer you. It's funny, I had somebody reach out to me the other day on Facebook. They said, dude, I sent you a message 2 weeks ago. Why won't you respond to me? My answer is twofold. One, I hate Facebook. Number two, my time is dedicated to number one, my family, and number two, my clients. It's not that I don't love you and don't care about you, but I'm being accessible and responsive to those people in my life. They're number one to me. And I take that very, very personal and very, very serious. What Hammer Coaching is not, this is not an organization-specific program, all right? There's lots of folks on this line who have businesses that are associated with certain organizations, certain programs, so on and so forth. This has nothing to do with that. I don't coach on those specifics. I will not get down into the weeds on specific types of companies and businesses and what they do. That's not what this is for. I don't coach on traffic or marketing, and I certainly don't coach on mechanics. We go way deeper on that. You're going to get something even better than that. There's enough great marketing coaches in the world. You can find those people. They don't charge a lot. They really don't. You can find some decent traffic coaches. That's just not what I do. I know what I specialize in. After years and years of experience and thousands of clients, I know exactly what I'm doing here. It's not group therapy. All right. This is not a chance to come and cry your woes. That's not what I do. There are great group therapists out there. In fact, I know a couple of really amazing therapists. That's not my specialty, though. This isn't a coddle fest. I will kick your butt from time to time, but not like a drill instructor, more like a flight instructor. Somebody who is flying the airplane with you. I don't want to stress you out. I don't want you to fly this thing into the ground, but I'm also going to help you fly higher, faster, and further in your business. And most importantly, and this may be new for many of you, it's judgment-free. My first and foremost concern for my clients is your success and your well-being. That's why it's not group therapy. That's why it's not a coddle fest, and more specifically, why it will be judgment-free. Here's how Hammer Coaching works. It's 4 calls per month, roughly 1 a week. They're going to be about an hour long. They're going to be interactive and open mic, which means we'll do webinars just like this, only instead of me teaching stuff, it'll just be a call bridge that we all come on and listen to one another. You're going to be working directly with me. I'm not going to be teaching. I'm going to open the line. They're going to be in very, very small groups of people so that each person has the opportunity each week to jump out and share a challenge. Then I'm going to work one-on-one with you. The rest of the group, just that small group, is going to be there to encourage you and to listen and to learn. One thing that's amazing, the reason I came back to group coaching was this. For years, I haven't done group coaching. The last time I did it was very, very powerful. In this group, there was a woman, and she was the vice president of a major company, a big company. And she was very, very challenged because she was pulled in all kinds of different directions. It was a healthcare company. And the challenge she was having was she didn't have time for her family. She was so engaged at work, and then she came home from work and she had emails, she had all this stuff going on, that she just felt very kind of, burdened by this. And so on one of our sessions, we brought her out, and every person got about 10 minutes a week. And so I brought her out and I started talking to her, and I gave her a couple of strategies and a couple of steering points. And she said, "Man, thank you so much for that. I feel amazing." She moves on, and then I move on to the next guy. I unmute him. This is a gentleman, a guy that was on the other side of the country. And there's dead silence. I'm like, "Hey, did I lose you?" And I thought I was ready to move on because I thought he dropped off the line, or maybe he had something come up and he couldn't be on the call. Just then his voice cracks. He goes, "Hey, hold just 1 second, please." And I'm thinking, okay. So we wait a few more uncomfortable seconds. The whole time, the dude's trying to collect himself. What was interesting was, while I was coaching the woman, Sherry, the VP of this company, this guy broke down crying because he had a breakthrough just by listening to somebody else have their breakthrough. That's the power of group coaching. And that's why I love group coaching, because you don't know the ripple effect that your growth has on other people. You don't even understand the ripple effect that your own growth has on the person that's waiting on the line with you. So that's why I love this. Now, all these sessions are going to be recorded and privately uploaded to a page where you and only your group can access it. All right? Not the whole group. And there's, everybody that's in the Hammer coaching system is not going to listen to your session, just you and your little team. I am, however, going to have a private Facebook group. Okay? And that's where everybody will be able to get into that one that's in group coaching. It's great for networking. It's going to be super awesome for support, but most importantly, it's there for you to really learn and grow. This is a 12-month program. I want to be upfront with you. It's a 12-month program. That is a demonstration of my commitment to you, and it's also a demonstration of your commitment to yourself. This is not for people who are weak of heart or somebody who has a queasy stomach. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to push you. You're going to have direct email access to me via my personal email account, not the one that goes to my assistant, not the one that goes to my, one that I check from time to time. This is my personal email that will buzz me on my phone when I'm out and doing the things I do. As long as I'm not tied up and engaged with people, I will get right back to you. So while it will be group coaching, there's an element where you will have a lot of personal one-to-one directly with me. The final thing you need to know about this is it's only open to 24 people. I'm only taking 24 people. And the reason is very, very clear. We're going to split you into small groups of just a handful of people, 6, maybe 10 at most. But the idea is typically I just want to keep it to 6 people, 4 groups of 6. Once they're full, and I'm done for the year. I'm not taking any more people on. So you really do want to jump on this. It's very, very key. If you're ready to move forward, then this is the type of coaching you've been waiting for. People have been reaching out to me saying, hey, can I work with you? And I've resisted, and this is what I'm saying yes to now. One other thing I'm going to throw in here too, by the way, because I believe in coaching, and I believe that this is the next highest level of coaching. Besides being directly with me one-to-one on a weekly basis in a group, you're also going to get a free ticket to take off to success. The reason I'm doing this is because it's going to be an awesome event, 2 full days of learning how to be a stronger entrepreneur, certainly. And you're also going to be around my peeps. Renee Comstra, my personal coach, Viliami Tuivai, a executive coach, and Chris Widener, perhaps one of the most world-renowned leadership coaches in the world. You're going to get a ticket to that. If you've already purchased tickets and you want to jump in, great. You can still have a free ticket. You can give that to somebody else. It'll be an additional ticket that you can gift to them. So what is the investment for this coaching? Well, my single session rate, if you want to work with me on a one-to-one level for one session, is $750 a session. Okay, so if you do 4 sessions a month, you can kind of figure out and do the math what monthly coaching would cost to work with me one-on-one. I don't take people, I don't coach, I don't go around there and market myself as a coach because I don't have to. I do it on application basis only. But with the group coaching, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be $500 a month. That's it. You get 4 sessions with me. So imagine that. For the entire month of coaching, there's 4 sessions. That's pretty incredible. Comes out to like $1.25 or whatever it is, or $125 a session. But most importantly is you have that continuity. You have all those things that we've been talking about that have been the big challenges that people have had. So for $500 a month, you're going to have direct coaching with me, and you're going to have that continuity and that support and community from the other people. Again, this is only open to 24 people and 24 people exclusively. All right. So jump on that. Go to jtdebolt.com/hammer, HMR, to secure your seat right now. Now, I want to teach you just a few more things before we go tonight, because this is extremely important. Whether you decide to coach with me or anybody else, be aware of this. The worst kind of advice you can get, and the place you most often get it, is from mom and pop. And I'm not necessarily talking about your mother and father. I'm just talking about those people that, sort of hang around. The people that are perhaps in your network right now that aren't necessarily crushing it. Neighbor Nellie, the person that looks over the fence from time to time and wants to know what you're up to. These are the type of people that typically haven't had the business success you're looking for. They've never gone through a recession and survived their business. They've never scaled it from barely making it to having the ability to, go off and do the things they love to do, have the freedom of lifestyle, and make the healthy 6-figure income, 7-figure income that you want. So be careful of that and stop taking advice from those people. Typically speaking, their advice isn't all that strong. Unless they've built a sustainable business and created the results you're really looking for, I wouldn't necessarily listen to their business advice. They're nice people to, have as, shoulders to cry on, but they're not the kind of people that are going to coach you to success. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. This is extremely important. This comes from Mike J. Mike J is the founder of B Coach Systems, which was one of the very first business coaching, like certified business coaching programs in the world. He said this: only with a coach is the focus solely on the agenda of the person being coached as a part of a business or an organizational system. If you've ever been a part of a business or an organizational system and that coach had somebody else's agenda, i.e. their own, ahead of yours, then you haven't experienced coaching. What you need is somebody who's slightly detached from the organization. That's why I don't coach organizations. I have my own private coaching practice. I've never really opened it up like this until now. My whole point is this: my only agenda is to make more successful entrepreneurs. I told you at the beginning of this year, for many of you that have followed me, that my focus this year, my mission, is to empower 12,000 entrepreneurs to be connected to their mission this year. Well, this is part of it. This is a huge commitment, but I know it's worth it. I know that it will happen, and I know it's because of people like you who have the vision, the focus, and the purpose to go out there and make it happen for yourselves. That's why I'm here. Your agenda comes number one. We need to get you to that next altitude in your business and in your life. I'm doing it this way. When you get the better focus and clarity, when you have that accountability and support, I promise you, you will go places you've never been. When you have that confidence, when you learn the personal leadership, organizational leadership, and you have the follow through, you'll go places you've never gone. 4 calls a month is pretty steep. You're going to have to rest up and hydrate, because that's a lot of contact for just a small amount of money. It's about an hour though. And what we'll do is, because I've got a lot of people from around the world, we'll do this time zone specific. Okay. So for the folks down in Australia, even in Asia and places like that, we will adjust according to your timeline, so we can build our teams and our groups according to where you live in the world. It is a 12-month program, which means I'm not going to let you down. You're not going to have to worry about somebody ducking out on you, because I'm here for the next 12 months with you, flying on your formation. It's not one of my coaches. It's not somebody I'm going to pawn you off on. You're going to be working directly with me. But again, it's only open to 24 people because it's with me. I'm not pawning it off to somebody else. I'm not having another one of my coaches take over, unless, of course, I become extremely ill or somehow get swept away by aliens in a spacecraft. You're going to be working directly with me throughout these next 12 months. I'm psyched. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to working with those 24 serious people that are ready to rock. So get yourself over to jtdebolt.com/hammer, HAMR. Secure your spot, because coaching starts next week. Do not delay on this. You know in your heart that you're ready for coaching. You know in your heart that you're ready to take that next leap in your business and life. Now's the time to say yes to it. I'm starting next week. We're going to arrange this Sunday. I will send out personal emails to each person, each of these 24 people, to tell you kind of what slot you're in, to give you the login information for the call. It'll be a webinar system just like this. But the only difference is I'll unmute everybody and we'll be able to talk and have one-on-one interactions. So it'll be very similar to the way we're doing this, only I'm not going to be teaching. I'll be coaching, working directly with you one-to-one starting next week. It's time to bring the hammer, people. Time to knock down those walls and those barriers that have been holding you back. I'm super pumped about this. I'm really looking forward to working with you guys. I can't wait for the future. Can't wait to be a part of your game plan and your flight plan to success. So get yourself over to jtdebolt.com/hammer right now and grab your seat while those 24 seats are still available. All right. Now, I went a little bit over an hour. I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer some questions. If you guys have questions, I'm going to back out of this presentation mode just a little bit. If you guys have questions, feel free to pop them here in the question box, and I will answer them. And let me just see here. All right. All right, some cool questions. First and foremost, how long have you been coaching entrepreneurs? Well, I've been coaching entrepreneurs for about 9 years, to be honest with you. Those are my first ones. So there's a couple of things that you need to understand about this, though. When you're in a position where you kind of know where you want to be in life and you're asking yourself these kinds of questions, it's not just an entrepreneur question. A lot of times it's a personal question. It's that kind of going in depth type of thing. A lot of times, and I can see it's kind of interesting. If I scrolled a little higher than I wanted to, people are saying that they fall into that B category or that C category in terms of having a plan to move forward. B meaning they kind of have clarity on it, but not too much confidence. C meaning they don't even know the first step. Well, guess what? That's why I'm here. That's the whole point behind the coaching. One thing that's interesting is a lot of times people focus on random things such as traffic or conversions or sales or things like that. Those are the mechanics. And yes, you need coaches that can guide you on that, but there's usually deeper spots on that. So that's the whole thing. Let's see. Samuth, hey, good to hear from you, my man. He says, what does HAMMER stand for? It stands for High Altitude Mentorship Roundtable. High altitude means a lot to me because it's talking about flying higher, faster, and further in your business. Mentorship, I take very, very seriously. Unfortunately, I think that word has been abused a little bit, but that's what the M stands for. And then R is roundtable, because each week when we jump on these calls, it's going to be us going around the table. Small groups, 5 to 10 people. I'll be working with you directly each and every single week. Each and every single week. Each person will have an opportunity to jump out. I'll unmute you. We'll talk for a few minutes, work on the challenge that you're working on. Everybody else just in that group can hear you. The calls will be recorded and be sent out to you guys, actually be posted to a private page that you and only you can get to, so that you don't have to worry about somebody taking it out there and using your breakthrough for their marketing or whatever. It says, okay, so Karen asked the question, is your HAMMER opportunity open to new folks? Absolutely, yes, Karen, it is. So the whole idea behind high altitude mentorship is I'm here to welcome brand new folks that are brand new to this, people that have never had coaching, people that are brand new to me. A big reason why I did this webinar tonight was because there are some folks that have not really had a lot of experience with me. Some of you have probably heard me on my calls. Some of you have been around, read my book, and things like that. But absolutely, that's the whole idea. All right. This is personal development, mindset, mission accomplishment, mentoring, and mastering. Yes, sir, it is, Samuth. That is exactly what it is. In fact, I'm glad you said that, because I talked a lot about what it isn't, because I want to be clear on that. A lot of times people ask me if they can have help with, marketing questions and things like that. And marketing stuff is important, but there's an abundance of those people, and they're good. There's a lot of really good ones out there. My specialty is in personal development. My specialty is in mindset. My specialty is in mission accomplishment, mentoring, and masterminding. And that is exactly, you nailed it right on the head. That's exactly why I did this. It's been years since I've done it, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's see. Would love to do this. Looking forward to seeing you in San Diego. Cool. So Shirley, I appreciate the questions. It's kind of a long question. This is one of those things, the question was, it's a little bit steep monthly. I totally understand it. For some people, it might be a little bit steep for monthly coaching. I did it in a way that would bring it down to kind of where a median business coach might be. They're right around $500 a month. I am not a median business coach. I'm far above that. However, my private coaching being $3,000 a month is a little bit much for folks. I wanted to be as accessible as I could. And the other part about that is I'm not day old sushi. I want you guys to understand that value, but I also know that it will push you. There are certain people that just kind of need to be pushed. So that's a price point that I feel very comfortable with, and I know that it'll work for you guys. So I'm looking forward to working with you, and it'll be fun. Michael, good to see you, my friend. I appreciate the comment. Let's see. Here's a question. Okay, so another great question here is, in the time frame of 12, why the time frame of 12 months? Okay, I love the question. So if you go back to the study that I showed you on the Harvard Business Review, and Lori, I appreciate the question. There was the reason they said 7 to 12 months is that that's typically when a corporation hires a business coach. Most business coaches work with corporations. As an entrepreneur, it can go even longer than that. Most of my clients I've worked with for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, to kind of put it in a time frame. Not because they become dependent or not because of anything else. It's just because things come up. I just had a guy this morning actually tip me off. I started coaching him about 4 years ago, and we haven't coached formally probably in 2 years. But he said, man, I've really got this challenge. Can you help me with it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow we're going to be speaking on that. My point is this, is that 12 months is a very nice time frame. It gives me the intention and energy and focus as your coach to deliver results. It also gives us a sustainable amount of time to do some serious work together. So that's why I say 12 months. But yeah, it's a super great question. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. How are you going to form the groups? Based on what criteria? Super duper question. So here's how this is going to work. The groups will be first and foremost created based on location. Okay, so there's a lot of people on this line from, say, Australia and the UK. So their time zones are going to be a little bit different than the time zone I live in, which means that I will put them in time zones so it's not in the middle of their night or middle of my night, but it'll work for both of us. So if you're somebody who, for instance, here in the United States is an early morning person, you're like, man, I want to kick ass before the sun comes up. Cool. If you want to be in an early morning session, I'm more than happy to put you in that one. If you say, no, I'm better off in the later afternoon, then that's where we'll put you. So the emails that I'll send out this Monday, or I should say this Sunday, will be to say, here's the available time slots when we're going to do these. When do you, which one of these do you feel fits you best? And I'll let you kind of make those decisions. We'll put them into the groups that way. If somewhere down the path you start finding yourself saying, man, my mornings initially look great, but now they're tied up, can you move me to an afternoon session? We'll work to accommodate you as long as we don't breach the confidence or the integrity of the group that we're working with. All right. So if you've got 6 other people in the group and they've gotten to know you pretty well and they're cool with a new person coming into it and that new person's cool with coming into it, then we'll make that happen. It's all about accountability, but it's also all about flexibility. Right. So awesome. Love the question. Let's see here. Will you do this again anytime soon? I can't do this yet. I will not be doing this again. Once the 24 slots are filled, I'm going to shut down group coaching for a year just because my time schedule is going to be it already is pretty crazy. So what I did is I said, yeah, I can basically do 4 groups, 3 to 4 groups a week. And that's a commitment I know I can sustain for the next 12 months. So for me to say, yeah, I'm going to do this again here in 3 or 4 months would be out of integrity. So the answer is no. I'm only doing these 24 people, these groups for the next 12 months. There is a possibility that I may open up another coaching program where I bring and hire coaches and certify them, but you won't be working directly with me. So just this group here is open to these first 24 slots to work with me. So hope that answers your question. That's a good one. Will this be recorded? Yes, it's being recorded. In fact, I'm still recording. These questions are being recorded. Let's see. So great question is why it comes back to why 12 months, why not 6 months? And I kind of just addressed that one before. And then why every week and not every 2 weeks? What I found was a lot of times people wanted to do the weekly thing, and this is when it goes back to the group session. One-on-one, when you coach one-on-one, most people coach weekly. That's been my experience through all the years I've been coaching folks. Is typically speaking, people want to coach once a week. Now, I do have probably about 20% of my coaching clients that coach every other week. They just coach twice a month. So in one-to-one coaching, that's pretty typical. Group coaching, what I've found to be pretty powerful is that we do it weekly. Now, here's the good news. People will oftentimes be really charged up in those first 3 months. They're like, I'm all in, I'll make every single call, and then life happens. The great news is that even if you miss a call, you're going to get the recordings, right? So you'll be able to listen to the coaching sessions. You won't obviously be coached because you weren't physically there. However, you'll have direct access to me via email, and I'll be able to kind of coach you via that way. If you had something that you missed, you said, hey, dance recital, so-and-so's wedding, I couldn't be at the coaching session. Can we talk? Absolutely. I'll accommodate you as my time will permit that to happen. But the idea is that 12 months is a nice, long, sustained relationship. 6 months, I guess you could do it for 6 months, but I've just found that most of my clients end up being about the 12-month mark. Let's see. So this is an awesome question. I know you have a busy schedule and live events and speaking. Will you be okay with your coaching schedule? Absolutely. That's the whole reason why I'm only doing 24 people, why I'm keeping the groups very small, and why I'm only doing a few groups so that I can maintain the other stuff that I've got going on. So thank you for that question. You guys are awesome. I appreciate this. Let's see. 23 slots left. The butt kicking and accountability is what I need, or at least I think. We'll find out. Paul, welcome to the group, buddy. I appreciate that. Looking forward to it. I will send you an email this Sunday to get you hooked up in your team. That's awesome. Let's see. Some great comments. I appreciate the thank yous and the accolades. You guys are awesome. That's it's great to hear. I appreciate the fact that you got some great content from this. This literally was designed to teach you as much as anything else. It's yes, I'm here to welcome you into my coaching program, but I also want you to be empowered. I want you to make sure that you've learned, some basic stuff so that when you're out there looking for a coach, a lot of people are dissatisfied or they don't even know where to start. Now you're at least armed with that information, and that's going to be very powerful for you moving forward. Okay, it looks like that's kind of the end of the questions, guys. If you have anything else that you have question wise, hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/flywithjt. I'll be happy to answer them there. But again, the biggest challenge that you have right now in your business, you got to ask yourself a question. Moving forward, what is your strategy? What's your plan moving forward? If you don't have one, that doesn't mean you're lost. It doesn't mean you're sunk. It just means you need to get one. If you don't have a plan, if you're one of those B or C people, you say, I don't know, I don't really have the confidence to move forward, then we need to talk. Grab one of those 24 slots while they're still there. It's going to be really important. It's been my privilege and honor. It's been a privilege to come at you guys. I will do one of these calls again probably next week as time permits. Probably not to promote coaching because it'll probably be gone by then. But make sure you jump in and stay connected to me on Facebook. Stay connected to me here with flywithjt.com. And I look forward to talking to you guys real soon. Have a great night. Fly high, fly fast, and fly far. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.